Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll discuss corporate sponsorships in light of an upcoming name change for U.S. Airways Center. Also tonight, we'll have the latest on the VA healthcare crisis, and we'll find out how humble CEOs are actually good for business. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The Phoenix Suns are looking to find a new naming rights sponsor for U.S. Airways Center. American Airlines, which merged with U.S. Airways, announced yesterday that it will not renew its naming contract for the arena. Here to talk about the world of corporate sponsorships through naming rights is Scott Harkey, president of the Owens Harkey Ad Agency here in Phoenix. Good to have you here. Welcome to Horizon. Any surprise that the U.S. Airways Center will no longer be that?
You know, it's not a big surprise. I think after a while, sports sponsorships or sponsorships in general run its course. And of course, in U.S. Airways' case, you know, them moving over to Dallas and merging with American Airlines, that really solidified that deal.
Indeed, because they have an American arena in Miami and Dallas, and I guess they figured a third was a little bit too much.
You don't need three, naming sponsorship deals. Those are expensive. So you want to make sure you're doing the right ones and not too many of them.
Well, will the Suns have any problem finding a replacement, do you think?
You know, I think they have enough time to really find a good partner. It's not going to be easy, as we all know, as Phoenicians, there's not a ton of Fortune 500 companies here, ready to spend, 7 figures a year on those types of deals. But I think they have enough time that they can get it done. They're a well-known franchise. That's a premier sponsorship in town.
Is the corporate sponsorship market, is it strong right now?
I think the economy's gotten better and people are spending more money in advertising, so I do think it's gotten better. But in Phoenix's case, not only do we not have a lot of Fortune 500 companies, but we've got a lot of competition. I mean, Phoenix is one of 8 Big 4 markets in the United States, meaning we've got football, pro basketball, pro hockey, and pro baseball. So there's a lot of competition. I haven't even mentioned Waste Management Open and all these other events.
Right, that have corporate sponsorship
Correct.
names. Now, the age of the arena, it's not brand new, it's not all shiny and new and exciting. No. The location downtown, it's not out in the hinterland, so that I would think would be not necessarily a plus, but the location could be a plus.
Sure, absolutely. But, you would hope the Suns would be playing a little better basketball and there'd be some more excitement about, a Suns team like there is about the Heat a few years ago, or now some of the big teams like Cleveland, a lot of excitement about a team now, or ASU, the Cardinals, where there's excitement. So you wish you had a better team when you're shopping for sports sponsorship, but I think they're going to get it done. As
far as naming rights in and of themselves, excuse me, do they really help a business? I mean, AT&T spent $500 million on one of those things. Does it really matter?
That's a great question, and I get this question a lot. And believe me, we've analyzed it up and down till we're blue in the face to try to figure this out. And it absolutely makes a big difference. Today, an average consumer sees almost 5,000 promotional messages a day. There's a lot going on, and so you need to stick out in consumers' mind. And being involved in a sports sponsor that they have a lot of affinity to as their favorite team is a big deal. And you're not in just a commercial break. You're involved as part of the content, part of the act. You're not a side deal. You're part of the main stage.
Are there ancillary deals that go with this kind of thing? Like whoever goes to the arena downtown, will there be other signage, other benefits that we don't think about?
Absolutely. There's not only just the signage. There's television commercials. There's integrated promotions. There's activation where you can come back. You want to get people to come back to your location. There's all sorts of other benefits and other media opportunities inside that naming sponsorship deal.
Are naming rights ever bad for a business or ever bad for an event? And I bring this up because when the Waste Management Phoenix Open, they first announced it, everyone went, oh no, they're naming a golf tournament after waste management. That has turned out very well.
Sure. Most of the ones I've looked at have been very good. Because when you're buying that big of an investment for a naming rights deal, there's so much PR that comes with it. I mean, every national televised game, they see your logo. So when you really look at the impressions, you're talking about millions and millions of impressions. So it pencils out most of the time. Now, there are other times you could negotiate a bad deal. The Levi's sponsorship just came up for the San Francisco football stadium.
Yes.
I don't know what they paid for that, but I would guess in the $10 to $12 million range.
Yes.
So you just got to make sure it pencils out. It's not for everyone. If you were just a regular local brand that didn't have aspirations to be going outside of Arizona, those big national sports sponsors, even if they are local, there's national TV deals. So you want to make sure that you're doing a sponsorship that can hit potential customers, and you're not just in a Arizona type focus. You just got to go beyond that.
Well, I was going to ask, any difference if the sponsor is local? We're thinking of Jobbing.com, which now will become Gila River Arena out there for the hockey team. That's local. Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, in their case, it does help, and I think that is a good fit. However, there are going to be national impressions when the Coyotes are on national TV that Gila River, is reaching people that aren't going to necessarily go down to those properties. So there is a little waste in that in certain cases. So it's just something you've got to evaluate on a case-by-case basis.
And I would think half the people across the country who see Gila River can't even pronounce it anyway.
Correct. And yeah, they don't. I mean, it still is good brand. Maybe they travel here in 2-3 years and they end up remembering Gila River and go stay down there. But yeah, I mean, there is potentially some, I call them wasted impressions that aren't your core demo.
And impressions, and you mentioned recall, that's basically what you're talking about. It's not necessarily you're going to go buy a ticket to Neverland here on American Airlines because you're at the American Airlines. You just have that, you're conscious of it.
Absolutely. I mean, how many times, have we said, we're going to U.S. Airways Arena to watch the concert, or we're going to U.S. Airways to watch the Suns play, or we're going to University of Phoenix Stadium to watch the Cardinals? You're saying a brand name in conversation with friends. That's worth a lot of money.
With that in mind, will corporate sponsorship, will this market ever dry up? Do you think you mentioned running its course, will the market run its course?
I think right now we are in a market that has too many opportunities, absolutely, for corporate sponsorship. You look at the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl sponsorships up. I mean, there's just a lot of sports sponsorship and just sponsorship in general opportunities in this market. So I do think for the size of our market, we're the number 12 media market in the country, there is probably too many sports sponsorship opportunities for this market.
But fear not for the Suns, they'll survive.
The Suns will survive. I think they will. They've got a good brand, they've got a great history in this market, and they're going to do just fine. They'll find a good corporate partner, and again, they have time. If they had a month, might be a little scared, but a year, they're going to get a good partner.
Scott, good stuff. Good to have you here.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ted.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
A much anticipated VA Inspector General's report on systemic problems at the Phoenix Veterans Healthcare System was recently released. And here to explain what the report found and give us an update on the VA crisis is the man who uncovered the scandal, Arizona Republic reporter Dennis Wagner. Good to have you back.
Thank you.
What is this Inspector General's report the latest in the VA, or have things happened since then?
I would say that's still the latest. There are developments behind the scene. They're planning town halls. They're trying to implement many of the reforms that they've already adopted. They are doing a ton of work to try to get all the veterans who are on waiting lists some kind of medical care, either within the VA or they are also referring them out to private care and paying for it. They're hiring like crazy to get doctors, nurses, and other workers that can handle the medical load that was there and that wasn't being addressed.
So let's talk about the Inspector General's report. Any surprises in the report?
There was the only thing that I would say came to me as something of a surprise was that assertion that they had that the inspectors could not conclusively prove that deaths were caused by delays in care. And it wasn't that I wouldn't think anybody could ever conclusively prove that, because death, the cause of death, and I've looked at I've talked to medical experts, I've looked up the World Health Organization and other agencies. There's no place where they show a cause of death as being untimely care or delayed care. The cause of death is a medical condition, whether it's cancer, a heart attack, a bullet wound, whatever the cause of death happens to be. But the Inspector General said, we haven't been able to prove that the cause of death was delay in care. And I still don't understand why that standard was created.
Well, and how would you, again, how would you set that standard? I mean, the fact is, if you have one of these illnesses, one of these conditions, and you are not seeing a doctor for a certain period of time, that's got to at least be a footnote, doesn't it?
Well, exactly. And the thing that was interesting in the report to me was it made a big point of, we haven't proved any of these deaths were caused by the delay of care. It didn't make a big point of how many veterans' lives weren't prolonged because they weren't cared for. How many veterans suffered greater pain, and how many of them had conditions that weren't ameliorated because they were treated too late? That's another question, and that's living veterans as well as those who died.
Right, and I know that Dr. Foote, the original whistleblower who talked to you about all this, not very pleased with that aspect of the report at all.
No, he and the other whistleblowers I've talked to were pretty confused by it, and I think pretty upset by it. They felt like it was a shot at them. And in fact, some of the media coverage came out and basically said the Inspector General report refutes the whistleblower allegations.
Interesting. Now, was it planned to be a shot at them? I mean, obviously there's a little CYA action going here, but what?
I'm still digging into that. I'm working on a story about that right now.
We'll keep reading that and keep watching. As far as the report, though, records falsified to hide delays in appointments. We've talked about that. That's what the Inspector General found. But basically just blasted that appointment system, didn't it?
Blasted the appointment system, and didn't just say that it's a screwed up appointment system, but that it was a maliciously or knowingly screwed up appointment system in order for some employees to achieve performance goals that were tied to at least claiming they were meeting wait time standards. And probably most devastating in terms of just how scathing it was, went after directly the director of the Phoenix VA healthcare system, Sharon Hellman, said she knew this data was inaccurate. She reported this data in her own performance evaluations in order to get bonuses.
But haven't we found others around the country not doing it maybe exactly the same thing, but similar kinds of things?
Well, there's two things. First of all, yes, they not only have found other things across the country, other VA centers across the country that are doing the exact same things, but as far back as 2010, VA administrators in Washington, D.C. knew these practices were going on, issued a memo saying don't do these practices, but nobody has ever held them accountable, held these different disparate VA centers accountable. So it happens again and again. And the other thing about it is, although there was this strange apparent shot at the whistleblowers in Phoenix, the actual content of the report, other than that strange phraseology about deaths, the content of the report verifies virtually every single point that Sam Foote and Catherine Mitchell and the other Phoenix whistleblowers named. The Inspector General had 225 people complain about Phoenix alone by the time this report was done. So it wasn't just a couple of people who were disgruntled. There's a swelling of people within the VA itself who were upset about the way things were being done.
So you have all those folks that are upset. You have whistleblowers galore. You have a report saying, don't do this, and people in Phoenix and elsewhere doing this. Directly against what the report tells them to do. It's obviously misleading at best. What are the ramifications? Where is the accountability? What has happened to that director of the Phoenix system?
Well, the director of the Phoenix system is still on paid leave. There's a lot of, there are quite a few people that are really upset about that. Some of the veterans advocacy groups have actually launched campaigns to try to change that. I think that the VA would say, hey, there's due process rights. She has a right to due process, and she's going through that. She's appealed whatever actions have been taken against her, and she has a right to stand up for herself.
President Obama said that misconduct will result in firings. Has Sharon Hellman been fired? The answer is no.
Not yet, anyway.
Has anyone been fired?
I'm trying to think if anyone's been fired in terms of high-level administrators. I think everything so far has been resignations, retirements, and administrative leave.
Does that surprise you?
not with the VA.
Yeah.
And I also think, that, I don't want to be cavalier about people's rights, because in any kind of a tumultuous situation like this, there can be people getting accused of wrongdoing who really aren't guilty of it. And so you do have a certain amount of due process right for people.
Indeed, you don't want to see anyone being railroaded, but
Right.
when the report comes out as scathing as this, are they trying to expedite the process?
They're saying they are. That was part of, in addition to that, the legislation that Congress passed a few weeks ago and the President signed,
Yes.
that legislation contained a provision that gave far greater firing and disciplinary authority to the VA Secretary with regard to senior leaders. But that authority isn't retroactive, so it doesn't affect the case like Sharon Hellman's.
Oh, interesting. The interim director has said that, I think your quote was, a cultural transformation is underway. Is it? Do you see a cultural transformation underway at the Phoenix VA system?
I couldn't say whether it's underway or not. I think that it's apparent that some people are making an effort at it, but whenever you have a culture, you have certain people within it that have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. And that's a battle that goes on. And I think time is what's going to tell who wins that battle.
At that status quo, though, such a damaged status quo. They're still fighting for it, though, huh?
There's evidence that there's quite a bit of fighting going on.
And as far as what's next, obviously we talked about rights and due process and such, but is criminal prosecution, is that likely in this case, do you think?
I don't think it is. My experience is federal prosecutors are loath to go after white-collar cases in the first place, and particularly hesitant to make criminal charges against federal employees. I don't know why that is exactly, but I've seen a number of cases outside of this VA thing where I just could not believe that an individual who was a government official who was, by government's own reporting, had committed a serious wrongdoing that appeared to be criminal in nature was not charged. So I don't know what to make of that. But I don't see it happening, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, again, great information, and you've done an incredible job on this story, and you're still on it. This has
Still
been,
going.
Yeah. All right. Good to have you.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate it.
A new study shows that humble CEOs are better for a company than a leader who insists that everything be done their way. Professor Angelo Kanicki, the Weather Up Overby Chair in Leadership at ASU's W.P. Carey School of Business, joins us now to talk about his new report. Welcome to Arizona Horizon.
Thank you.
What exactly did you look at with this study?
Well, we were interested to see if humble leaders could have an effect of leading to greater productivity in their organizations. That's the real question.
As opposed to?
A narcissistic leader or an autocratic and browbeater kind of leader. We wanted to see if someone who had these characteristics of humility could produce really positive results.
You're talking blowhard here, in other words.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So define a humble CEO.
Okay, this is actually a hard question because there's not one clear definition, but let me tell you what makes it up. The first thing is it's a foundation of the belief that there's something greater in life than me. I'm not the most important thing. So humble leaders have that belief, and they have a few other characteristics. Number one, high self-awareness. They are people who tend to like to get feedback, and they use it to understand their strengths and weaknesses. Now that leads to an interesting thing. Because they understand their strengths and weaknesses, they tend to appreciate that all of us have strengths and weaknesses. Therefore, when things go wrong, they're more caring and they handle it in a much better way. And the last component of a humble leader is the belief in a greater good, that we should do things that help others besides just me. And what we find is when we do things to help others, it will come back and help you as well, because people like to reciprocate when good things happen.
So are you basically saying a trickle down of good
Yeah,
feelings and
that's
empathy and that sort of thing?
Exactly right. In fact, we call it contagion. What happens is when people behave in a certain way, whether I'm the narcissist or the humble people, other employees look at it, and when they're humble, what we find is people tend to like the leader. They want to work harder for the leader. That's that contagion. Positivity spreads positivity.
Okay, now define a blowhard.
Define a blowhard. Well, there's different kinds of blowhard. There's one kind that's just a blowhard because they like to talk. There's another kind of blowhard that they actually want to get ahead, so they self-promote all the time, make themselves look better, take credit for other people's works. A humble leader would never do that.
And yet, I don't know if it's because of the culture, if it's because of movies and TV, I don't know what it is, but the thought is, you got to be strong, you got to be tough, you can't let them get away with anything.
You know, Ted, that's a really good comment, because I think there's a stereotype that humility is self-effacing and weak. It is not. Humble people, like let's take Mahatma Gandhi, or let's take John McKay of Whole Foods. These are not soft, weak people. They're strong, disciplined, productive people. It's just that they have an emphasis on helping others rather than doing things for their own self-interest.
So again, that is not considered like a lack of confidence. Because again, we're talking about the corporate structure as seen by the culture. You kind of want the king, you want the leader out there leading the troops.
You know, that's an important message. It can be viewed. Some people think if I'm humble, I don't have the confidence. I'm not a good performer. And what I would say to that is the opposite. By demonstrating that, it's what we do at work is often a function of multiple people. By acknowledging people, by showing people that you care about them, you get power through the relationships and the positivity you create in how you interact with people.
How did you conduct this study?
Oh, it's very complicated. We did it in China. We had...
Why China?
We did it in China for two reasons. One, we did not think we'd find enough variance in humility with CEOs in the United States, and we did think we would find it in China for two reasons. One, China is steeped culturally and historically in Confucianism and Taoism, which is a belief in the collectivist approach. And secondly, China is going through great economic development, taking on a lot of the Western sort of economic policy. So what we thought is we'd have a nice mix of CEOs who have sort of this competitive economic approach with more traditional Chinese, and we found that. We had a nice variance. That's why we chose China.
Well, and so you chose China and you got these results, but because it's China and because it is different, you couldn't find that much variance here in America. Do the results apply in America?
Okay, so I would say yes, because Ted, the critical result we found was how does humility cascade in an organization? And it's a process. That process, I think, would work in the U.S. as well as it would in China, because it's what happens. And here's what happens. When CEOs display humility, they empower people, whether it's China or the U.S. When you empower people, Ted, have you ever been empowered?
Maybe.
It feels good, right? So when we empower other people, then what we found is people start to collaborate and talk to each other. As they started to do that, then other people in the organization went, hey, look, this place cares about me. We're empowered. And then they performed higher. I think the same thing would happen in the U.S.
Can that happen in the U.S., though? And can it happen in a public company in which there are shareholders, results have to be found, and if I got to go find a blowhard to get the results, I'm going to go find a blowhard?
So the answer is yes. Let's take Costco and Whole Foods. Whole Foods, very successful firm. John McKay believes in conscious capitalism, which is the point that businesses should be in business to do things other than make a profit. That is a characteristic of humility. Whole Foods, when Senegal was the CEO, he was all about paying those people a good wage, and we both know from the news that that's a hot issue with McDonald's.
Yes.
Costco believed if you treat people well and pay them well, they'll reciprocate with higher productivity, and that's the same thing we found in our study.
Well, it's a fascinating study, and it's encouraging for anyone who's in some sort of power or those who are exposed to that sort of power. Good stuff. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And Friday on Arizona Horizon, it's the Journalists Roundtable. Another poll shows that the governor's race is a toss-up, and not long after the poll was released, Doug Ducey finally got the endorsements of his GOP primary rivals. Those stories and more Friday right here on the Journalists Roundtable. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.